Hey, how's it going? This is Carl, aka Carl Drum Tech, and I got a special treat here for you guys today if you are watching. I got my friend here, Spencer, who is a former student of mine. We met at a high school in Bellflower, which is in California, and Spencer is a quad drummer who marched at Pulse, and then he marched RCC, and drum corps wise, he also marched Gold. So that is his experience level as far as where he's coming at today. So I just want to kind of like, basically run this like in an interview format so you can get to know Spencer, learn about his history, learn about what he's doing now, and, just some general questions that, we did a Periscope earlier today, and, we got some great questions coming in, so we're going to bring that up also in this interview style format that we're going to do right now. So why don't we start with just kind of like your basic introduction. So like as far as introduction to as far as how you started drumming and what got you into it, what attracted you to it, and how that all came about.
Okay. Honest answer. Mm-hmm. When I was in middle school, Drumline the movie was a big thing, and yeah, so 7th grade, all my friends were about Drumline the movie. There was a middle school Drumline. Everyone was about it. I wanted to be in it. I was not good enough. Mm-hmm. I wanted to play snare drum. Nick Cannon played snare drum. From there, I met you in high school, mm-hmm. and then you cut me from snare drum and put me on quads.
Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
I don't know what he's talking about. I do not remember this happening whatsoever. So
yeah,
I think he just wants to hold something over my head, like you cut me.
Hey, you did cut me. You said, you know what? You do not have the hands for snare, but we're gonna put you on quads. He's like, you have too much hands for like bass, but we're gonna put you on quads. Okay. I was like, all right, these heavy things. So
it was a good thing. You changed your destiny.
It did. It changed my destiny completely, and out of being a quad drummer, I ended up having a huge respect for quads.
Right.
Around that time, it was like Blue Devils was really big, 2006, that Godfather year, and I was like, oh man, I want to play quads. Yeah. Like, that's all I want to do.
Right.
And so I ended up taking that with my career, and like you said, I ended up marching Pulse and RCC. Before that, I did Pulse Open. There's this group called SDSU that's not around anymore, but used to be around. I used to march that group. And like you said, for drum corps, Impulse and Gold.
Right. So now, as you were learning, as I met you and as I talked to you and got to know you at that time, you're a fresh-faced eighth grader or whatever it was, right? Mm-hmm. I knew that you were getting lessons from somebody. So talk about that, as far as like how you got. This is something that a lot of students coming in don't really necessarily have access to, as far as like somebody who, your teacher, from what I understand, has marched the activity, has marched drum corps. Most students coming in do not have access to something like that.
Right.
So talk about that experience as far as like, how that helped you, how that prepared you, and how that was really beneficial for you coming into high school drumline.
Okay. Basically what I did is I was trying to get drum lessons, and I used to go to this place called Bellflower Music, and I was getting drum set lessons, but I was really trying to learn marching drums.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy named Abraham who was working at Bellflower Music at the time, and he referred me to his brother Rocky, and Rocky was a passionate snare drummer, mm-hmm. and he was just about playing snare drummer. The best advice I could give about trying to get personal lessons is find someone who's passionate about what they do, in terms of the drumming community, and you'll get the best information from them.
Sure.
And that's what I got, I feel. Right. He taught me about internal timing, he taught me about rhythms, he taught me about mathematically correct rhythms, which is the same thing mm-hmm. initially, but not a lot of people understand that. And so yeah, Rocky pretty much broke it down for me, like square one to the more advanced stuff, and we really got into, the different rudiments, learning every single one, cha-cha-chas, like flam accents, grandmas with the backsticking, what do you call it, patafla-flas, like mm-hmm. who knows about, who says patafla-fla anymore?
Right.
So like
I call them patty fla-flas.
So he took me like around the world in terms of like the rudimental drumming, and then the quad drumming I kind of had to like wing that out and figure it out myself. But he taught me a lot about playing on one drum and figuring that out.
Right. Now, and that, like I said, I felt like that was a huge advantage for you. You know, coming in as an 8th grader, you know, and you talked about how, you know, I thought that, you know, you had like you had really good hands, really good chops, you know, too good for bass drumming. So I thought, you know, yeah, you know, quads is definitely it. So I definitely felt like that was a huge advantage for you. You know, you were extremely talented coming in, you know, even more so than some of the more experienced kids, which is pretty remarkable and pretty amazing, and, you know, obviously is an advantage to the entire drumline. That being said, you know, it also, you know, and we can, you know, maybe chalk this up to immaturity and you being really young, but, you know, that it seemed like, you know, it caused you to kind of have like a little bit of an ego, like, you know, hey, you know, I'm better than a lot of these guys coming in, and it's because I'm learning from this guy Rocky, and, you know, and just like you had this attitude, like this air about you, like, you know, yes, I'm amazing, I am awesome, and you know, and just like it's so interesting how, you know, like what was your perspective as far as, you know, that, you know, coming in and like having kind of like a little bit of a, I guess you could say, like, you know, an air of arrogance a little bit, or, you know, like, so what was that like on your end? Like, you know, because my you know, on my end, it's like, okay, who was this kid? Like, you know, he has like a lot of like, you know, arrogance for somebody so young. I get it. He got some lessons, he got skill, but like he's coming in like, you know, like, yeah, I'm the man. Like, what was that on your end as far as like, you know, what you were thinking, what's in your mind at that time?
As far as my end, I was thinking I was gonna come in, audition, and cut the vets.
Sure.
Like, I was like, I'm gonna come in here and have this competitive edge about me. They don't know these rudiments. They don't know this and that. At the time, I didn't know how to mark time.
Mm-hmm.
I had the hands. I did not have the feet.
Sure.
But I mean, with that competitive edge, I feel that sort of drive, that sort of arrogance, kind of got me where I did in terms of marching drumming. Like, not the arrogance so much, but like the competitive drive, the drive to like just go, not worrying about the level of people near me. Because if I worried about the people near me, you know, kind of like my peers, then I'd probably be at my peers' level. Right. And I'd just stay at my peers' level and not really proceed. Right. It's like sort of like an Alexander the Great thing I've been reading about. Is like, you know, you can't succumb to the cowardice of, you know, your fellow men around you. Sometimes you got to step to the plate and just, you got to be leading the line in front and be running towards the goal, and that's how you achieve excellence.
Right. And I definitely feel like, you know, that was an advantage for you also in a sense, because yeah, that's what it took to, like, you know, get into RCC, get into Pulses, to have that attitude, like, you know, I'm gonna step up, I'm gonna be better than everybody else. Like, you know, like, so I definitely, that helped you for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not so much being better than everyone else, as being, I'm gonna be the best me I can possibly be right now in this time right now. Be the best possible me.
Right. But at the same time, you know, it had some drawbacks too, right? You know, like, you know, maybe the other kids also, you know, weren't like,
yeah, they weren't feeling it.
Yeah, they weren't feeling it.
They weren't feeling it. Yeah, because there's the negative drawback. Part of, like, I mean, you see this with, like, even like if you watch like the Jimi Hendrix movie. He's a really crazy good guitar player, but he wasn't like arrogant. He was probably the best guitar player in that movie.
Yeah.
But he wasn't arrogant. He was like, hey man, what are you doing over there? Oh yeah, I see that. But he wasn't arrogant as much as he was just like, I'm really good and I know I'm really good. Mm-hmm. These dudes don't know that yet, but that's kind of what you have to have when you're in that sort of setting.
Right.
And that's how it's like comparable.
Right. Absolutely. So from there, right? So and how do we, you know, fix that mark time issue? Because you said that, you know, like your hands are really good, but like, you know, so now getting the feet happening. So what did you do? What did it take for you to kind of like overcome that obstacle?
What happened was that is you taught us how to like listen to music. You're like, hey man, I know for sure you're listening to music. You're probably listening to some rap music. When you listen to rap music, are you bobbing your head?
Am I being racist? No,
you're not. It wasn't racist. It wasn't racist. It was true. I was listening to rap music.
Okay.
I was listening
Who doesn't?
No, who doesn't? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to that, and you're like, if you can like bob your head to that, you could probably stomp your foot to that.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, we started layering. You're like, oh, you got that now. Play some eighth notes to that. Oh, you got that now.
Yeah.
And then be able to play partials to that. Be able to play things that aren't on the foot, and that really helped me. So that's kind of how I got on that leap.
Absolutely. And I remember like being on that field, like, you know, left, now, put your feet down now.
Yes, you're starting the show, Spencer, on the right foot. No, it looks cool, but no.
Right.
Right.
Man, that was some good times for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So and then you took it to the next level. So I saw your growth. Coming from high school, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing you march Pulse Open World, which is an amazing story in itself. In that that group was meant to be like a independent, open class group, and you guys were so damn good. And Pulse has their own world group, right? But Pulse Open was this group that was meant to be in the open class, and you guys were so good that you got bumped to world class, competing with the Pulse World line. So, do you want to talk about that story, about how that came about? Like, what was your experience like? Being a member. Obviously from a spectator standpoint, I saw that as like, wow, that's amazing. Like, how you have this feeder group, or this open group that just elevated to be able to compete with the main group. Like,
Right.
What was that experience like?
My experience was being kind of like the underdog for a minute, and just being that guy who's like, I just got cut from the group I want to be in. So I'm gonna try to make this group like at least be in the same level as the group I want to be in.
Sure.
So I mean,
and did everybody have that mentality?
And I felt that with the whole group. Like, everyone was really trying to push like the bar. Like, yo, we're in Pulse Open right now, but we're world class.
Wow.
And it showed. And I mean, from the leadership to the staff, I mean, they really were pushing for that. Robert Bowen, that dude was like really about hard work, and I really respect that. So that's kind of how they set us up for success. Is like they took the guys who were pretty much good for Pulse World.
Yeah.
But there's just not enough spots, so
yeah.
we ended up just making a feeder. They were like, we have all this talent, we gotta just do this instead. So
right.
Yeah.
Amazing. So then you went on to do Pulse.
And then I did Pulse.
And then you ended up doing RCC.
Exactly.
So this would be very interesting to find out. So, it's one thing to be able to tell the difference between let's say an open group versus a world group. Right. In this case, you have two groups, Pulse and RCC, who are both in the world class, who every single year are like doing this, right? So they're pretty much on the same level, for the most part. So, it's very interesting that you see somebody go from one high level group to another high level group. I remember, one of my, my friends, Pete Sappinen, like the one of the few times I've seen this happen or heard about it happen is like Pete Sappinen marched Blue Devils, but he ended up marching Cadets.
Yeah.
So it's like, interesting to see, and hear him talk about the differences between the high end West Coast drumming to the high-end East Coast drumming is so different, right?
Yeah.
So talk about, the difference between, marching, Pulse versus marching RCC.
Okay. I can only talk about my experience because the drumming activity is always evolving. I feel RCC is kind of going towards the East Coast mentality, but I could be wrong. It's a little bit different. But the biggest difference there between RCC and Pulse is the way they approach the beginning of their programs. One is like you get an audition packet months in ahead, and you're able to work on that and like really obtain that, or really like soak it all in, be able to play it. By the time you're at the auditions, you already know how to play that. You already know how to do everything there is that's expected of you. And you just have to play what they give you the best of your ability, and that's how you make it in the group. With RCC, it's more like a Broadway musical that you're auditioning for.
Okay.
You don't get any information whatsoever before the audition, except bring $25. That's your audition fee. Cool.
Right.
We'll see you then.
Right.
With that one, it's more like we're gonna give you your sections packet. We're gonna give you a full ensemble thing the first day. You got 3 days. The third day, we're deciding what the line is.
Wow.
And and what that does to the human brain is it really pushes it to the limit. And when you're able to like get a new piece of information and do that new information the best of your ability is what makes you evolve as a person each second. And that's what I felt was the difference between RCC and Pulse. But not to say that Pulse has anything negative about it. I mean, it makes you really good at being prepared before coming to anything.
Sure.
So
right.
That's the difference, is being prepared versus going to something and whatever it is they tell you to do, you're going to do that the best of your ability. If they want you to do a handstand, you better be ready to try to do it at a handstand.
Right.
And do it the best of your ability.
Wow.
Right.
So that aspect is, getting into the group, auditioning, the very beginning part of the process. Talk about throughout the season, like what the difference is between RCC and Pulse, like, as you go through the season, like how the staffs run it, versus how Pulse's staff runs it versus RCC staff, what's the major differences you think would be?
All right, first of all, Mapes, Vega, I'm sorry, but I'm saying this.
Oh, no.
All right. The biggest difference between the season is, like, I'm going to start with Pulse again. Pulse, you make the group. As soon as you make it, you already got book. You're working on book. And you have the book from the beginning of the season to the end, and you'll be working on it the whole way through, and you'll know it before you'll have the whole show done before the first show, and that's the difference. With RCC, it's more of like they're creating it as it goes. Like the opener, they're creating that, and you're just kind of learning, and it's still the whole, like, the audition process really gets you ready for the season.
Sure.
Because, I mean, let's say they don't like the opener. We're going to change the whole thing.
Wow.
Oh, this doesn't suit the theme, so yeah, we're gonna change that.
Wow.
And you just have to be ready. You have to be mentally prepared for anything. And I think...
Not be in love with any part or anything.
No, not being in love with anything, dude. Not being in love with anything, because I mean,
and that's interesting because a lot of students do fall in love with their parts, and one of the things they hate the most is when you change something. No, I love that part, right? And it's like
this scrape solo is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's interesting. Like just the mentality of not falling in love with it. It's more about the process of
It's more about the end result and the overall big package of the art that the artist, which is the staff, is trying to create for you.
Right.
Or create for the group.
Right.
So that's the biggest difference. I feel with Pulse, they already created what they thought was like a really good project or product to put on, not product, but a show or artistically, whatever it was. And they already have it. They internalize the idea. They put it out, and it's gonna either be like, it's gonna be magic, depending on the group, or it's gonna be whatever it is. And I think that method, there is no wrong or right, and I think both of them are effective. Because dude, Pulse has been getting medals like boom, 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 boom. RCC has been getting medals since their creation. So,
that's true. I mean,
you can't argue with the results.
Right. Absolutely. So then, what? So after after marching the indoor groups and aging out and things like that. So what are you doing now? And what lessons have you taken from the activity that you apply to what you're doing right now?
Okay, what I'm doing right now. I wanted to keep performing and doing like kind of what I do with like what I did with indoor and outdoor. I'm doing like stage band sort of stuff. Things that you'd see at like Coachella, FYF, beach goth, festival type things. We're getting into that sort of scene, culture. Basically, I'm in a project called Fry. You can look us up on Fry Dizzle anything on any social media. Basically, the difference between that and indoor is you're not moving. You're playing your show on a stage, and you're able to create your artistic thing with like visual aesthetics, and you can still move too on the stage. I mean, there's no rule saying that you can't, but there's different effects that you could use that I think WGI should also utilize, which is like projectors, the lighting, different things like that. Your last question was, also I'm going to school for sound engineering, so if you ever need someone to sound engineer, mix, master your stuff in 9 months, hit me up.
Nice.
Right.
So my other question was, how are you applying, what you've learned in the activity to what you're doing right now?
How I'm applying is going for excellence at all times.
Nice.
Pretty much like not taking not taking no for an answer at any point of life for any reason. Not succumbing to, oh man, like this place doesn't look like legit enough. Like I can't be legit in this not legit place. Like no. Like that's backwards way of thinking. Like you have to be 100% you wherever you are, whatever setting, and that's what's going to get you to that ultimate like goal. It's like pushing that bar.
Right.
So
awesome.
That's like one of the things I took from that. Rhythmic excellence, that's something that kind of goes with like stage drumming. That also goes with the outdoor drumming, and that's something I kind of incorporate.
Right.
About that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so let's do a little lightning round in terms of I got some good questions on our Periscope that we did earlier.
Right.
So let's see if we can pull those out and put them on here on the video right now. So difference between the indoor activity versus the outdoor activity, which outdoor being drum corps. So you march drum corps at Gold, right?
Right.
So
And Impulse.
and Impulse. So difference between the two.
The difference between indoor and outdoor. Well, outdoor is more intensified because it is like a longer course. You start auditioning in November, December. You get accepted. You start having camps. Then you do all days. Then you're just there. You're with that group until finals. And
Every day.
The group you're with is your family, essentially. You're on the road. Like, you're surviving. Everyone around you is surviving because you guys are moving as a unit. You guys are being a unit. You guys are watching each other's back and all these different things and learning from each other and growing with each other.
Yeah.
Indoor, you have a lot more leeway for that sort of thing because it's like, it's a weekend thing.
Yeah.
You audition during the weekend. You come during the weekends. It's just a lot less time, but the good thing about indoor is it forces you to be able to learn a lot faster, to be able to clean yourself up a lot faster, because the discrepancy with like indoor and outdoor is like, oh, DCI is a lot cleaner. True, but also there's a lot less time on indoor than there's in DCI. So, and that's a lot.
It's a different sense of urgency.
Exactly.
It's like, you
different.
You gotta get this right now because you don't have the time.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like, dude, we got 5 months to get this done. Like with drum corps, it's like you kind of have like not the whole year, but like a good portion of the year to push that through. So that's the difference is the time and that's the time. What's another thing?
I knew there's one really big distinct difference that.
Well, that's all I got.
Well, okay. Either that or we can go back to it. If it comes to you, you can definitely do that as well.
Right.
So what about preparing for auditions?
Preparing for auditions. Seek lessons out from people who actually did the line, who were like successful members. I mean, do your research. It's like, with fantasy football, are you gonna, get that player who's just kind of like in there for like a year, or are you gonna get like lessons from the guy who was there multiple years, successful in the group? Like, you kind of have to watch your player, pick the player you like, try to get lessons from him. If that player is not available, get lessons from the next dude.
The guy playing next to him.
Exactly. The guy playing next to him who's just as kick-ass.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Let's see. What other questions are there? I think that's pretty much it. Either that or I just don't remember it. It probably helps to write them down, right? But, hey, it's all right. But no, we definitely have some good content for you guys. So hopefully you guys have learned something from that. Thank you so much for bringing your experience and your knowledge. And, it was definitely fun to have you around here and do this interview. So that was really cool.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome. So if they wanted to follow you on your social media accounts, where would they find you?
They would find me at Spencer J on Insta.
And that's with 2 Y's on the J, right?
With 2 Y's. That's 2 Y's. Spencer J on anything on Insta.
Nice. So go follow Spencer on Instagram. I'll even post it up too, like this on the video. So you can check out his account, and I'll put it in the description as well. So you guys make sure you follow him. And he's also got a drumming account called Spencer Drum Tech.
Spencer Drum Tech.
So go check that out for some quad knowledge.
Yes.
And obviously Spencer being a quad drummer. Oh, let's do one more question.
What's up?
In terms of quad drumming. Right? So what's one tip you can give somebody who is just starting out to play just starting to learn how to play quads? Either as a beginner or maybe somebody switching instruments. What's one thing they can think about? In terms of like how they should approach quad drumming versus any other instrument.
Cool. I'm going to make this interview special. It's not going to be the exact same as the last one. My advice for that is to be open-minded. Like quads, it's not the same as snare drum. Snare drum is one drum and you're going to play it like one way. Quads, you have to be a little bit more open-minded because you're going all over the place. You're doing crossovers, you're doing double stops, you're doing stick flips. You got to be open-minded towards whatever the direction the staff member in front of you wants to go. If you want to be an independently good quad drummer, I mean, another advice I could give is watch the YouTube quad drummers you really like. Take all the best things you see from those drummers and bring that on yourself. Absorb everything you could take from them and just try to be like them.
Right.
And eventually, you know, surpass them.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So yeah, great stuff happening today. Great information that was put out. So hopefully you guys got something out of it. And you know, as always, if you guys have any questions or if you have any comments, please put them in the comments below, and I will answer them. And you know, Spencer will see it too, so maybe he can answer it. And you know, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. So peace out. Thank you again. Is that where you're gonna stop? Camera check.
Turn the gain up a little bit. What is it at right now? 6? The drive?
It's on 4.
Can you turn it to like 5 or 6?
It's at 5.